Most people live their lives following others, following trends, advice, rules. But what if true freedom comes from breaking away from all of it? Nietzsche's philosophy teaches us that real power lies in learning to rule yourself, not follow anyone else. In this video, we'll explore how you can stop being a passenger in your own life and take full control. Stay tuned, because what you're about to discover will challenge everything you thought you knew about freedom, power, and self-mastery. What if I told you that everything you've been taught about following leaders, obeying rules, and seeking approval is designed to keep you small? That the world around you, with all its systems and symbols of power, was built to reward conformity and punish rebellion? Nietzsche didn't whisper this, he screamed it. His philosophy wasn't just an idea, it was a revolt. Follow no one, he declared, because the moment you begin to imitate, you abandon your own path. From childhood, we're taught to idolize. Parents, teachers, influencers, celebrities. We mimic behavior, language, even ambition. But in doing so, we give away the one thing that makes us truly powerful, our ability to think for ourselves. Nietzsche's voice cuts through the noise. He who cannot command himself must obey. In a world full of followers, few dare to lead, and even fewer dare to lead themselves. But why? Because leading yourself means facing the raw, unfiltered truth. It means standing alone when everyone else kneels. It means being the villain in someone else's story while staying true to your own. This isn't about ego. It's about awakening. When Nietzsche speaks of the Übermensch, the overman, he's not talking about physical strength or superiority over others. He's talking about evolution, about transcending fear, guilt, and blind obedience, about sculpting your blind obedience, about sculpting your own values, writing your own code, and walking a road no one else sees. That kind of freedom terrifies most people, because freedom means responsibility, and responsibility means there's no one left to blame. But that's exactly where your power begins. Nietzsche's words are not a comfort, they're a challenge. They dare you to stop looking outward for guidance and to start looking inward for command. This is not for the faint of heart. This is for the wild minds, the dangerous thinkers, the rebels who no longer want to fit in. They want to rise above. If you're still with me, ask yourself, are you truly alive or are you just following instructions? Because today marks the beginning of something rare, the awakening of the individual. And once you begin this journey, there's no going back. Look around you. Everyone is copying someone. The way they dress, speak, think, even the dreams they chase. It's all recycled, safe, familiar. Nietzsche saw this disease long before social media, long before algorithms started feeding us who to be. He called it herd morality. It's the silent force that tells you not to stand out, not to question, not to dream differently. But here's the truth. The more you imitate, the more you betray your own potential. You become a shadow of someone else's light, never discovering the fire inside you. Nietzsche didn't want admirers. He wanted awakeners. He believed that imitation is the death of originality. He knew that the world doesn't need more followers. It needs individuals so bold, so unapologetically themselves, that they shake the ground they walk on. But why do we imitate? Because it's easy. Because it's safe. Because being original means risking failure, judgment, isolation. But Nietzsche's question slices through the fear. What is your soul worth? Is it worth sacrificing for likes? For claps? For validation from a world that doesn't even know your name? Imitation is a prison, and the bars are built from fear. Fear of being wrong. Fear of being alone. Fear of being too much. But here's the secret Nietzsche knew. Being too much is exactly what makes you unforgettable. To break free, you must first recognize the cage. You must stop measuring your success by someone else's yardstick. You must dare to be misunderstood. Because the moment you start living as your truest self, the world will resist. But that resistance is a sign. You're no longer part of the herd. You're becoming a force. The death of imitation is not a loss, it's a rebirth, a shedding of layers that never belonged to you. You don't need a blueprint. You are the blueprint. You don't need permission. You are the authority. And you don't need to follow anyone, because within you is a voice more powerful than any external command. Nietzsche's challenge is clear. Kill the imitation within. Only then can the real you rise. Nietzsche drew a brutal line through the heart of human morality, dividing it into two worlds: slave morality and master morality. Most people live in the former without even knowing it. Slave morality is the morality of the weak, the resentful, the obedient. It praises humility, submission, self-denial. It tells you to play nice, to wait your turn, to lower your head when authority speaks. But this morality wasn't born from virtue. It was born from fear, from the powerless trying to make weakness look like goodness. Nietzsche saw through it. He saw a world where people condemned the strong because they envied their strength, where ambition was called arrogance and desire was called sin, where the lion was told to act like a lamb to make the lamb feel safer. But master morality? That's different. That's the morality of creators, rulers, visionaries. It doesn't wait for approval. It doesn't ask for fairness. It defines its own values, not because it's cruel, but because it knows its power. It praises courage, self-overcoming, excellence. It's not about dominating others, it's about mastering oneself. Nietzsche believed that to truly live, you must escape the morality that was handed to you and create one that rises from your soul. But that takes brutal honesty. You have to admit what you want, even if it scares you. You have to accept your darker urges, your ambition, your hunger, and refine them into something higher. Slave morality tells you to be ashamed of your strength. Master morality tells you to refine your strength into beauty, art, achievement. One keeps you small, the other demands that you rise. But here's the trap. Society rewards the slave. It gives medals for obedience, likes for conformity, applause for playing it safe. To reject that and walk the path of the master is to walk alone. But Nietzsche would say, that's the point. Only in solitude can you hear your true voice. Only in rebellion can you claim your crown. Following no one means rejecting the morality that keeps you quiet, small, and dependent. You're not here to be ruled, you're here to rise. And the first step is to see which morality rules you, then destroy it if it wasn't born from your own fire. At the core of Nietzsche's philosophy lies one of his most explosive ideas, the will to power. This is not about power over others. It's not about politics, money, or brute control. It's deeper. It's about the force that drives all life to grow, to expand, to dominate its circumstances. It's the raw pulse that pushes a tree to break through stone, that drives an artist to pour his soul onto canvas, that fuels a thinker to challenge the gods. For Nietzsche, life is not about survival, it's about overcoming. And the will to power is that inner engine that refuses to settle, that won't accept limits, that constantly seeks to transform weakness into strength. But modern man has silenced that will. He's been trained to be passive, to seek comfort over challenge, to numb ambition with distractions. He scrolls, he obeys, he avoids discomfort. Nietzsche saw this and called it out. Society is breeding mediocrity. The herd wants safety, not greatness. But the will to power burns in the exceptional, the few who refuse to live as shadows of themselves. It means becoming the ruler of your own being. A tyrant. It's waking up every day and choosing to sharpen your mind, strengthen your body, and harden your spirit. It's about transmuting pain into fuel, failure into fire, and desire into direction. Most people think power is something external. But Nietzsche says, true power is inward. It's the ability to say no when everyone wants you to say yes, to choose solitude over conformity, to live with intensity when the world tells you to relax. The will to power is not just a concept, it's a challenge, a dare, to rise above the noise, to stop waiting for someone to tell you what to do, and to shape your life with the fire of your own will. Following no one begins with reclaiming that power. Not just to react to the world, but to shape it. Not just to survive, but to thrive with purpose. You don't need permission. You need will. You don't need a path. You need pressure. Because the will to power doesn't whisper, it roars. And only those who hear it can learn to rule themselves. Nietzsche didn't believe that you are born with a fixed identity. He believed that you become who you are. That phrase, become who you are, is not a comfort. It's a command. It means that your true self isn't something to discover like a buried treasure. It's something you create. Most people live their entire lives trying to fit in, chasing borrowed dreams, following rules they never questioned. They imitate, they perform, they mask. But Nietzsche asks, what if all of that is keeping you from the one thing that actually matters? Your becoming. Real identity is forged in fire, in conflict, in solitude. It is shaped by struggle, by the choices you make when no one is watching. It's easy to become what others expect. It's harder to become what you demand from yourself. Nietzsche's idea is terrifying because it puts the responsibility entirely on you. No one's coming to define you. No one's handing you a ready-made life. You're not a finished product. You're a battlefield, a chaos, a raw material waiting to be sculpted by your own hand. And the tools you need aren't comfort or validation or permission. They are discipline, courage, and relentless self-honesty. To become who you are, you must strip away everything that's false, every belief that was spoon-fed, every role you've been playing, every story you've been told about what you should be. You must walk into the dark forest alone without a map. You must make painful decisions, say hard truths, risk isolation. Because real becoming often looks like falling apart, until you realize you were just shedding the skin of someone you were never meant to be. And when you begin to live not for applause, but for alignment with your deepest values, you'll start to feel something rare. Freedom. The kind of freedom that can't be sold or given. The kind that only comes when you stop pretending. You are not here to be a copy. You are not here to play a part. You are here to become. And that path will demand everything from you. Your fears, your comforts, your lies. But what it gives you in return is priceless. Yourself. Not the self shaped by others. The self you were strong enough to build. The self that rules not just the world, but first, its own soul. Nietzsche believed that in order to truly rule yourself, you must first destroy what rules you. Not just kings or leaders, but the invisible gods, ideas, beliefs, systems you've unconsciously worshipped your entire life. These gods might look like tradition, religion, morality, or even culture. He called this process the revaluation of all values. It means daring to question the things you were always told were sacred, and not just question them, tear them down. Why? Because most people live as slaves to ideas they didn't choose. They follow rules not out of reason, but fear. They chase goals handed down by others. They live according to a moral code designed to keep them obedient, not free. Nietzsche saw this clearly and called it out. He said, God is dead. Not to mock religion, but to announce that the old values had lost their power, that mankind had outgrown the myths used to keep it tame. If you want to rule yourself, you must confront the same question. What do you blindly believe? What authority do you submit to without challenge? Is it family? Is it society's definition of success? Is it a God who promises reward if you behave and punishment if you don't? Nietzsche urges you to become a creator of values, not a consumer of them. And that is dangerous work, because it requires breaking from the herd. It means walking away from certainty, safety, and community. You may be labeled arrogant, sinful, insane, but Nietzsche would say, those labels are chains. The herd needs them. The ruler does not. When you kill the false gods, you're not left empty. You're left free. And from that freedom, you can build your own philosophy, one not based on guilt, shame, or submission, but on power, beauty, and truth. This doesn't mean living without limits. It means choosing your own limits, your own meaning, your own sacred. To kill the false gods is to reclaim your soul from the cage of conformity. It's to realize that you don't need someone else's approval to live with purpose. You need only the courage to face the chaos and sculpt it into something worthy, something that's yours. That's what Nietzsche meant when he said, "Man is a rope, stretched between the animal and the overman." You must let go of the gods below to rise into the self above. Now that you've killed the false gods, freed yourself from the rules and systems that bound you, it's time to answer a crucial question. What comes next? Nietzsche didn't just want you to be free from others. He wanted you to be more than you were before. He introduced the idea of the Übermensch, or the overman, as the ideal to strive for. The overman is not simply a better version of yourself. It is a transformation that pushes you beyond human limitations, a continual process of becoming. The overman isn't born, and they're certainly not given to you by some divine force. They are created through struggle, hardship, and relentless self-overcoming. Nietzsche emphasized that the overman embraces life in its entirety, its beauty, its chaos, and its suffering. Where others see hardship and despair, the overman sees an opportunity to grow. This is essential. The overman does not retreat from pain. He faces it head-on and rises above it. In fact, Nietzsche argued that life as it is, with all its messiness, is a gift. If you cannot accept pain, failure, or rejection as a part of your life, then you are forever a slave to those experiences. But if you can learn to embrace them, you free yourself from their true potential. Fear. The overman lives by a code of their own making. They define their own values and take responsibility for their actions. They do not seek validation from the outside world. Their strength comes from within. This is power, not over others, but over the self. You become the master of your own destiny because you have the courage to choose it. The overman does not need a higher power to dictate how they should live. They become the highest power, the creator of their own fate. And unlike the slave who accepts his limits, the overman refuses to be constrained by the boundaries others set. Nietzsche's vision of the overman isn't just a philosophical idea. It's a call to action. It's a reminder that you are not limited by your circumstances, your past, or anyone else's expectations. You are capable of transcending those limitations and becoming something greater. The path to the overman is not easy. It demands strength, resilience, and above all, an unyielding commitment to becoming, to the never-ending process of self-mastery. But in that process lies the ultimate freedom, the power to create your own meaning and live a life that is uniquely yours. This is the journey Nietzsche invites you to embark upon, a journey that will test you, challenge you, and ultimately transform you. But if you dare to take it, you will find that there are no limits to what you can achieve. To follow no one and to rule yourself, as Nietzsche urges, is no small feat. It requires mastery over your own mind, body, and soul. This mastery is not about controlling every little aspect of your life in a rigid, constrictive manner. Instead, it's about gaining a deep understanding of who you truly are, your desires, your weaknesses, your strengths, and your fears, and making them work for you. True mastery over the self begins with radical self-awareness. This means confronting your deepest insecurities, your failures, and your limits head-on. It means understanding that you are not perfect, that you are a work in progress. But it's also about recognizing that this imperfection is part of what makes you unique. It is in acknowledging your flaws that you find the power to transcend them. Mastery doesn't come from pretending you have no weaknesses. It comes from embracing them, understanding them, and learning how to use them to fuel your personal evolution. Nietzsche believed that many people are slaves to their own emotions, impulses, and societal expectations. We react to life instead of proactively shaping it. But when you begin to master yourself, you no longer allow these external forces to control you. You learn to respond to challenges from a place of inner strength, choosing your actions based on your own principles, not on the whims of others or on short-term gratification. This is where true freedom lies, in your ability to respond to the world on your own terms, with unwavering confidence in your own judgment and ability. Mastery over the self is a lifelong process of refining your values, your discipline, and your mindset. It requires consistency and a willingness to face uncomfortable truths about who you are. Every setback, every failure, is a lesson to be learned, not a reason to give up. The path to self-mastery requires you to challenge everything you thought you knew about yourself and the world around you. You will question everything: your beliefs, your desires, and even your fears. This process of self-inquiry, of unrelenting questioning, is at the heart of Nietzsche's philosophy. It is through this constant examination that you begin to grow and evolve. As you continue to master yourself, you realize that true liberation is not about external circumstances or achievements. It is about inner freedom. It is the freedom to think for yourself, to choose your path, and to create your own meaning in life. The more you master yourself, the less you are influenced by others. Your life becomes a true reflection of your own will, your own desires, and your own vision. It is the highest form of freedom. Mastery over the self, in Nietzsche's view, is the ultimate expression of human potential. It is a state where you are no longer bound by the limitations of the past or the expectations of others. It is a state where you are free to create, to destroy, and to become the person you were always meant to be. In mastering yourself, you discover that you are the master of your own fate, and that in the end is the greatest liberation of all. At the heart of Nietzsche's philosophy is the concept of the will to power, an idea that goes beyond mere survival or the pursuit of happiness. For Nietzsche, the will to power is the fundamental driving force in human beings, the inner energy that propels us to achieve, to grow, and to create. It's a force that compels you not just to live, but to live boldly and fully, to overcome obstacles and reshape your reality. The will to power is not about dominance over others, as many might misunderstand. It's about the domination of oneself, the ability to transcend your weaknesses, your fears, and your limitations. It's the ability to rise above mediocrity and to strive for greatness, no matter the odds. This force exists within all of us, but not everyone taps into it. Most people live lives of quiet desperation, accepting the status quo and drifting through life without ever questioning or challenging the conditions they find themselves in. They allow their fears, doubts, and societal norms to dictate their actions, stifling their potential. But the individual who embraces the will to power refuses to settle. They reject the idea of living a life of complacency or conformity. They strive to continually grow, evolve, and push their boundaries. This means taking risks, embracing challenges, and even failing in pursuit of something greater. Nietzsche believed that our greatest strength lies in our ability to willfully shape our lives, to use our inner power to break free from the chains of societal conditioning. The will to power requires courage, not just in achieving great feats, but in being honest with yourself about what you truly desire and what you're willing to sacrifice to achieve it. It's about making choices that align with your deepest values, even when the world around you encourages you to do otherwise. The will to power isn't just about individual achievement. It's about creation. It's about making something new, something that has never existed before. Whether it's a work of art, a business, a movement, or a new way of thinking, the will to power is the force behind all creation. It's the energy that allows you to build something meaningful from the raw material of your life. However, this drive isn't always easy to harness. It requires discipline and self-control. It demands that you focus your energy and attention on what truly matters, without getting distracted by superficial desires or the opinions of others. The will to power is the force that drives you to master yourself and to shape your environment in a way that aligns with your vision. It's not about power over others, but about power over your own life. When you align yourself with your will to power, you begin to live with purpose and intention. You no longer feel like a passive participant in life, but an active creator of your destiny. Your actions, your choices, and your goals all become a reflection of your own will and your personal vision for the future. In the end, the will to power is the ultimate source of personal freedom. It is the energy that allows you to transcend all limitations, to break free from the prison of external expectations, and to live a life that is uniquely and authentically yours. The more you embrace this force, the more you realize that the power to shape your life has always been within you. You simply needed to awaken it. In Nietzsche's vision of the world, the ultimate goal for any individual is to become the Übermensch, often translated as the Overman or Superman. This is the individual who has completely mastered themselves, who has transcended societal expectations, and who creates their own values and purpose in life. The Übermensch is not a fixed idea, but rather a continual process of self-overcoming and self-creation. Nietzsche presents this idea as the culmination of human potential, the highest achievement an individual can aspire to. It's not about physical superiority or superiority over others, but about spiritual and psychological elevation. The Übermensch embodies the highest form of human freedom, independence, and creativity. They are individuals who no longer look to external sources for meaning or validation, but instead create their own path and live according to their own principles. The Übermensch is someone who has transcended the constraints of conventional morality and social norms. They understand that life is inherently chaotic, uncertain, and often meaningless, and instead of shrinking away from this reality, they embrace it fully. They see themselves as the creators of meaning in a world that offers none. In Nietzsche's view, the Übermensch represents a radical rethinking of what it means to be human. While many people seek comfort, security, and stability, the Übermensch thrives in challenge, uncertainty, and change. They are the individuals who are not afraid to break free from the herd mentality and pursue their own unique path, even if it means standing alone. Becoming the Übermensch requires constant growth and transformation. It's not a destination but a lifelong journey. To be the Übermensch means to continually challenge yourself, to strive for greater wisdom, strength, and understanding, and to never be satisfied with mediocrity. It means living authentically and without compromise, even when the world around you may try to impose limitations. The Übermensch is not someone who lives for the approval or validation of others. They are their own standard of excellence, and their actions are motivated by their own internal desires and values. The path to becoming the Übermensch is a path of inner strength, self-discipline, and relentless pursuit of one's potential. It involves breaking free from fear, shame, and guilt, and embracing the power that comes with self-mastery. It's about overcoming your weaknesses and constantly evolving into a better version of yourself, with no regard for the judgment or expectations of society. The Übermensch understands that life is a process of becoming, not a state of being. It is through this continual process of self-overcoming that they find meaning and fulfillment. Their life is an act of creation, where they are the artists, the sculptors, and the architects of their own existence. To strive for the Übermensch is to live with purpose, clarity, and a sense of individual sovereignty. It is to reject the mediocrity of the herd and to embrace the power of self-mastery, creating a life that is uniquely yours. The Übermensch stands as a testament to human potential, a reminder that we have the power to transcend the ordinary and become something greater, something beyond the limitations that society imposes on us. In the end, becoming the Übermensch is not just about achieving greatness, but about living authentically and fully in the face of a chaotic and indifferent world. It is the ultimate expression of human freedom, the freedom to create, to grow, and to rule over yourself. The Übermensch is the ideal that each of us can strive toward, a beacon of possibility for all who choose to break free from the chains of conformity and embrace their own will to power.